you want banks, to step up and improve liquidity in the foreign exchange market. Just tell us briefly how you expect the banks to do that. And then there's a warning about potential tariff war. What's that about?
Well, the tariff war is actually, as Professor said, following the U.S. election and President Trump emerging as the president. His antecedents shows that when it comes to trade, he focuses more on unilateralism rather than multilateralism. So, America first, that's the slogan. So when you say America first, you're trying to protect your manufacturers. So you will now impose tariffs against imports into your country. And by doing that, they are a global force. America is a huge consumer of goods, and they also produce. So, and they had been taking their productive base to other countries, emerging markets like China, Vietnam, South Korea. And China now started copying and improved on their own productive capacity. And their goods are now cheaper. So they are blocking them. So once this starts, these tariffs and trade wars is going to affect what WTO tries to do to manage trade wars so that smaller countries are not hurt, bigger countries are not hurt. But when a country decides to go on their own, it's going to disrupt the global supply chain and it's going to disrupt the global market. And when it does that, emerging markets will suffer, like Nigeria. For example, the US, they have a stockpile. They have a stockpile of crude, and Nigeria, we produce crude, we export to the US, but with his own kind of policy, they are going to start. He's not for climate change and so on. So they're going to start producing crude oil in massive ways. And some ways are like fracking and all other models that you can use to get production. So which means once they do that, there will be huge supply in the market. Once there's huge supply, there will be oil glut. It's going to impact negatively on Nigeria because we export. That's our primary source of revenue. When there's too much supply out there to meet demand and even excess, then we'll have a challenge. The tariff was also, as I said earlier, other countries are now saying they're going to retaliate. So it's going to disrupt the total global polity. And it's definitely, no country is in isolation. Countries are interrelated and interconnected. We are at the era of globalization. So it's definitely going to affect us.
Now, the MPC currently, emphasizes collaboration between fiscal and monetary policy authorities. Yeah. In what areas is this collaboration lacking, and what can be done, to improve it? Okay,
so on the 30th of January, I'm sure you covered what the Central Bank of Nigeria did, which was the Monetary Policy Forum. It had not been held in 20 years until Governor Cardoso took over and said he insisted, he is very big on collaboration as well as communication. How do we communicate our policies to the public for it to be effective? How do we enhance and strengthen collaboration with all sectors of the economy? So we held the Monetary Policy Forum, and that forum we had up to 6 ministers of budget and planning, the coordinating minister for the economy, and his minister of state. We also had minister of trade. When we talk of fiscal authorities, a lot of people conclude it's just the Ministry of Finance. No, trade plays a big role because it's through trade that we can earn revenue. Yeah. So whatever they do will impact on our sources of foreign exchange earnings, which will have a direct impact on the reserves, which is in the purview of the central bank. And the more dollar we earn, the more it will stabilize the exchange rate. And Prof earlier said that it was the importation of food that largely contributed to the deceleration of inflation. I'd like to add that including stable exchange rate. And that stable exchange rate, the bank introduced the electronic foreign exchange matching system, which is called the B-Match. We also came up with the Nigerian FX code, and all this is to introduce transparency and ethics and governance in that space. Because in the past, the foreign exchange market was distorted. Banks played the way they liked, and there was no control. But now there is control, and with that control, things are normalizing. And let me quickly conclude on the collaboration between fiscal and monetary policy authorities. The forum, we invited academia, we invited the BDC, the Bureau de Change Association, we invited chambers of commerce. Okay. Everybody that was in the hall was carefully selected. The Senate representative was there, House of Reps, Governors Forum, all the other coordinating agencies, regulators in the financial sector, the insurance sector, the Securities and Exchange Commission, all were represented, because there is need for collaboration. If the banking sector is thriving, we need to see that insurance is also moving in the same direction. Right now, the services sector is what is driving the economy, finance and banking. So we need to enhance and strengthen regulation so that we can get optimal benefit from that. And then also with government, by inviting national planning, when we plan, once you sit with other agencies and you plan, then it will enable government to know where to focus on to generate revenue. And then also with the fiscal authorities, it will enable us to know how to manage excess liquidity in the system. So we need to have the same calendar with the fiscal authorities so that to ensure that they are not, whatever they do will not impact on what the banking sector or the central bank is
So are you
trying.
plugging these gaps now?
Yes, we are. So we have, this is one of it. It was a really very successful discourse, because we listened more to the stakeholders. The Monetary Policy Forum enabled the governor to hear what no MPC member spoke. It was just the speeches that the governor made and the Deputy Governor Economic Policy, just to set the tone for the conversation. And after that, the governor took note of the complaints of everybody. And following that, immediately the BDCs were invited. We held meetings with them. And you can see the central bank has now created a model whereby BDCs can get foreign exchange from banks, so to reduce the scarcity. And then the fiscal authorities also, we've held meetings, several meetings with them on how we will manage our situation.